Hello, my name is Bruce Lee Money, and I'm the singer and guitar player with a Bangalore band called Thermal and Aquata. Well, I'm a Bangalore boy. I grew up in Bangalore. My first school was called The Home School. It doesn't mean I was homeschooled. The school was called The Home School. It was founded by some Australian missionaries, like 100-year-old school kind of thing. It's an interesting little place, and I was there from grade 1 to grade 6, and then moved to another school, all in South Bangalore. So extremely sort of middle class upbringing in that sense. And through school, I really wasn't uh, keen on being a musician or anything like that. There was a lot of music going on at home. I had a very unusual household, to say the least. Come from a so-called Tamil Brahmin family, but my parents were very far away from that kind of tradition. So I grew up with a lot of music playing at home. My dad was a big fan of Western music, so I was growing up listening to a lot of pop from the 50s, jazz from the 50s and 60s. My mother is a trained Carnatic singer, so there was a lot of Carnatic music playing at home as well. But I wanted to be a pilot throughout my schooling years. I was completely crazy about aircraft. Even now, when when in a plane, I can usually look out and I can say what make the engine is, and I know a few things about flying. I think I do at least. I was crazy about aircraft, and all I wanted to do was be a pilot.
So, and while you were growing up, was this the cassette era? Was this the pre-cassette era, CDs?
Oh, growing up was definitely records or vinyl, as they say these days. LPs, we used to call them. There was more LPs playing at home than cassettes. We didn't have CDs till way later. So yeah, I mean, I'm talking about growing up in the 80s. So it's that was definitely pre-CD for us. So vinyl for sure. Yeah.
And were you just listening to what was being brought to home by your parents, or were you also given the choice of selecting?
I think in the schools that I attended, there wasn't really much of a music culture. We didn't really have music education that was anything serious. I think we had a music teacher who would teach us a couple of bhajans and some simple songs, sing national anthem, sing a few hymns during assembly. So there wasn't really any music education. So the only musical education at that point was just being at home and listening to the records that my parents played for me. There was some good music there. And I think the first inklings that guitar was something I liked was from records by the Ventures and the Shadows, guitar-based bands from the 50s. We had quite a few of those records, and my parents liked them. And my dad put me in a music class early on because he believed it would be useful for me to learn an instrument. And those are the things that first caught my ear in terms of, oh, the guitar is a cool instrument.
So, while growing in at your school, did you experience any such incident which sort of pushed you in the direction of taking music more seriously?
No, not in school at all. I mean, I think we played a little show at the end of our 10th grade because I could play a little bit of guitar by then. But again, but I don't know if I mentioned, but I wanted to be a pilot, and that was my single-minded focus throughout school. All I wanted to do was and specifically a fighter pilot. That's what I wanted. So I can't really say there was anything at that point that really motivated me to be a musician. I think all that happened after I joined college, first year PUC, as we used to call it back then. The years after that, when I met Rajiv and Sunil Chandy, the founder members of the band, and I was interested in music, and perhaps I had some basic talent at that point. And we did take part in a few college competitions early on and won them, which is always a big motivating factor. I mean, suddenly you're cool, right? And given that my parents had conferred this name on me, Bruce Lee Money, it's kind of interesting. People were always like, it's a conversation starter saying, "What, is that your real name?" And you know, so yeah, and that's always something that's kind of stuck with us. The name, even the band name, is kind of what is that about? you know, so it was good. And Terminal Quarter, of course, is from 1996, and we'd been playing quite a bit before that. And I played in a bunch of different bands between, I guess, 95 and 98, 99. I played in many, 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 many different bands because at that point, pre-internet, no YouTube, no guitar magazines, no real music education where you could go and learn rock music or jazz music or whatever. you learn by playing with people who are way better than you. And I was lucky enough to play with a bunch of bands and musicians who were, leagues, years ahead of where I was. And so I learned a lot from those experiences.
Any names?
Of course, yeah. So instrumental in really changing my approach to technique and everything was a band called Lucid Dreams. They're still around in Bangalore, not with the original members, but some of them are still around. And there was a guitar player called Ajay Philip who introduced me to what he would call my new best friend, the metronome. Said, okay, you want to get good, you want to play Megadeth songs, you want to play Metallica, you want to play Dream Theater. Don't come back till you can play 16 notes at 180 BPM, right? So, and how do you do that? Put the metronome on, play. Don't get up till you get it, right? Stuff like that. So it was, tough advice, but it was good advice because some of those muscular things with playing an instrument, there's just no shortcuts around. You just have to do it till you get it, right? So Lucid Dreams was, I think, instrumental in helping with technique because it was challenging music. We were playing Rush and Dream Theater and Megadeth and Metallica and stuff like that. And while that wasn't music that I had grown up listening to or loving, I really developed an appreciation for the intensity of technique and effort required to pull that music off, to play it really, really well, right? But while I was playing there, it was kind of schizophrenic. I was also playing in a hotel band because I was in a situation in life where I felt I had to contribute to the house income as well. And I was playing in a hotel band in Windsor Manor Hotel in Bangalore. I was playing every night, so it was 6 nights a week. And so I'd finish college and go over to the Windsor Manor. We'd play. I think we'd set up by about 7:30, start at 8 p.m. and go on to 1 a.m. Right, and that was an entirely different experience from playing Lucid Dreams. There's a band called Quicksilver, and again, I was a kid. I was in college, and these guys were kind enough to, I think their vocalist had left, and someone knew me from somewhere and said, "Let's give this guy a chance." And I think I got lucky again. My first show at the Windsor Manor. And the Windsor Manor is like, your active wallpaper. You're not supposed to play very loud. Your amp is at 0.5. And, you have to learn to have fun at low volume. But on my first night, there was a table that was having, some party, and they asked us for some requests. And I happened to know one of the songs. And so I sang it, and I sang it way too loud. So the rest of the band is giving me like, dude, you can't sing it that loud. This is a hotel scene. It's not like your rock concert. Turn yourself down. But I did it anyway, and I think the table enjoyed it. And back in '97, they gave us 1,000 rupee tip, right? So which is a big sum of money in 1997. So the rest of the band was like, I think this guy is lucky. He doesn't know how to deal with this whole hotel scene, but he first day and he gets this much. So let's keep him on for a while, kind of thing. But it was great. The guitar player there was a chap called Ebby, and I learned a lot from him. So with Lucid Dreams, it was let's turn everything up to 11 and play like, Megadeth and stuff. And then go to the hotel at night and turn everything down to 0.5 and, play all these top 40 covers and learn to have fun during that. And the fact that you learn also to just vibe with the members of the band. It doesn't matter if no one's paying attention, if people are just in their own universes and you're just, like I said, active wallpaper. You're just there in the corner. I was interested in jazz because I'd grown up listening to jazz music as a kid. And again, there was an opportunity to play with a local jazz band called the Rex Rosario Quartet. And by this time I was a bit cocky, kid who won a few competitions and playing with a metal band. I'm playing with, I can deal with this shit, big deal, So I show up for my first jazz band rehearsal and I'm all sorted with my pentatonic scales. And I think, I'm going to rock it, big deal. I can play take 5, So, and so Rex, who's a saxophone player, puts a chart in front of me, and in about 30 seconds, I know I'm way out of my depth because I don't understand these chords, and all my pentatonic chops seem to be failing abysmally at keeping me going in, solo spots and everything like that. And again, I've got my ass kicked really, really hard. This is a whole bunch of new things to work out. And sometimes this kind of abject humiliation really, helps. I think my first gig with this band, we played at this little bar near the airport. And in the audience is one of Bangalore's best jazz guitar players, Gerard Machado. And I'm cringing because I know I suck at this. And this is the guy who does this, who is like a champion at this. And I think I was trying to hide behind my amplifier. But halfway through the interval, I went up to him and said, I need some help with this. And he, in full public view, proceeded to just destroy me. He was like, what are you doing? You need to go study. you are hopeless at this. You don't know the chords, you don't know the forms, you don't know the vocabulary, you have no idea of the emotional content of these things. It's pathetic what you're trying to do, right? And I remember standing there. Yeah, you know how humbling that can be. You just get torn down, right? But it was lucky that I was motivated to study. And again, no teachers, nothing. So you get books, you struggle, you do something. But yeah, so I guess that really helps. So Rex Rosario Quartet, Quicksilver, Lucid Dreams. There's also this Hindustani fusion band that gave me a call once, and I had to play with them. And that was again a totally different. Oh, okay, I'm going from 25 chords in one song to no chords at all, and and now it's a raga you're supposed to play. And if you play a single jazz note, you'll get looks from everyone saying, "What are you doing?" So again, so it was these experiences that I think that really shaped my initial career with music. And I was lucky that the band, when it formed in 1996, was open to, eh, we were free to do what we wanted. And so before we released our first album in 2000, we recorded 15 songs that nobody has heard. So that's before album one. And if you listen to those right now, you can see the experiments that we were making in terms of trying to find the sound, right? So you'll hear fusion, you'll hear jazz, you'll hear metal, you'll hear Van Halen rock, you'll hear all kinds of stuff, because it was us trying to figure out where our particular expressive zone was. So and also all these bands that I played in were hugely instructive in that.
So while all of this was happening and you were still in college, uh, when did it become very certain to you that you want to be a musician, or was there a period where you did something else as well?
Oh, I think back in 2000, I graduated from my master's program in 2000. I got a job in .com. 2000 was the .com years. Again, when people ask, we did a workshop yesterday, and there were a bunch of kids asking, so how do how does the band keep going for this long? And again, I say there's definitely a bunch of luck that counts, but also kind of decisions you take because you happen to have found, a particular collective, a particular ensemble of people and characters and personalities and chemistry that you kind of instinctively know is rare to find that. And if you do find it, you want to hang on to it. Because I actually got admission into a big university in a different city to study my master's. But I didn't go because the band had just written the first few songs. It looked like there was something happening. We were playing some gigs, we were winning things. So I chose not to go, right? And so hung out in Bangalore. And because I hung out in Bangalore, I got a job in a part-time job in a sound reinforcement. I worked for Reynolds for a little while. I learned about the sound business, from carrying speakers to working with mixers and things like that. So in a way, that kind of shaped my growth in that field as well. And then I think in 2002, so after I finished my .com job, I taught English in Christ College for a year. I was teaching second PUC and first year degree students literature and English. Yeah, I've done all kinds of shit. Yeah, and halfway through that, we decided to open a music shop, right? So Rudy, the bass player at that point, and I decided to open a music shop because we want to try again a career in music kind of thing. And the retail business is freaking unforgiving. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get hammered. And we had no idea what we were doing.
So when you say a music shop, you were selling like
Instruments.
CD, instruments.
Retail,
Okay.
yeah, music instruments. And our USP was that it's the only shop in Bangalore where you can buy instruments from musicians, right? So we won't sell you bad shit, If it's a guitar that you're buying, I have checked it. I've played it. I know it's good. I'm going to sell it to you. Right? That was the USP. But a USP isn't success. It's just an idea that you think is going to lead to success. But there's a whole lot of other shit that you got to figure out, which we didn't. I mean, we had a little space in Barton Center and MG Road, 606 on the 6th floor. So those numbers are kind of crucial to the whole rock and roll thing of it. So, and I think it was a pretty poorly run business. But it became very quickly became an adda for all the local musicians who would come around, hang, jam. After 3 hours, buy one plectrum, and so it's like, yeah, it wasn't really a business. And every time good gear came in from the distributor or whatever, it would quietly get put away in the back room saying, "That's mine, I'm not selling it." Which is like, no. I mean, that's not how you run a business. So it failed. Yeah, it failed pretty miserably. And we had acknowledge that we don't know enough about this, and it wasn't making sense. So we got back to corporate and did a whole bunch of work through the next 8 years before we jumped out again in 2010 to be full-time musicians.
So while you were growing up, I would want to believe you didn't have access to some amazing gear that is available in our country right now.
Absolutely not.
So how was that phase of playing on probably Indian-made guitars and stuff, and then owning a shop where you were probably keeping American guitars and things like that?
Oh, the shop really wasn't. I mean, 2002, so we didn't really have a lot of international gear coming in, but there was some. Strings were coming in, a few guitars were coming in. But and one of the things you discover when you're running a shop is that there's only there's one category of instruments and one price range that sells, and everything else is just maybe once in a year you would sell because that one particular guy wants to spend that much and all that. So for the most part, I think there was a company in Chennai at that point that was making. They were a company set up by the brand Jackson from the US, but they were making guitars under the brand name Tansen. So I think we were selling a lot of those, and they were made to kind of international specifications, but they were made in India. But it was eye opening in terms of okay, I mean this is what good gear should look, sound, feel, and play like. And I gotten lucky again before that because the same Lucid Dreams band, he was buying a new guitar from the US, and his old guitar was a second hand that was available for me to buy, and that was my first kind of good high quality instrument. For Washburn MG74, typical 1980s, early 90s shred axe, so that was my first kind of good instrument. And after that, yeah, it's been, I can't say that I do have a collection of instruments, yes, but not, I don't really have all these really priceless collector's items kind of thing. A lot of them are really cheap, inexpensive instruments that I've kind of customized and grown to love over the years. And some companies have been kind enough to give me some instruments, so all that is there. Gear, it's a whole journey, and now it's, I guess it's really simple to get your hands on pretty much anything, right? The world is your oyster when it comes to gear.
Let's talk a little about Thermal and a Quarter.
Sure.
First of all, how did that name come about?
Well, that's an old question, and I think it's been asked way too many times across the last 27 years. But it was a spur of the moment thing, and we were the Christ College A team for the longest time, and there was a competition at the St. John's Medical College. They have a festival called Autumn Muse, and they have a category of band competition called the semi-professional category. Basically, which means that you can have someone in the band who's not currently in college, right? And we happened to have a singer who was working in some ad agency at that point, and he wanted a band to be with, and so he joined us. And so it was actually his idea to form this band, right? And so we are registering for the competition, and we need a name. Right? We can't go as the Christ College band because right now it's not the Christ College band. And at that point, the band's composition was 3 Malayalis, and I was kind of nominally a quarter Malayali because one of my grandparents happened to be, or whatever, which I don't even know is accurate, but it was fun. And so it became 3 Muddles and a Quarter, Thermal and a Quarter, let's put it down. And so we won that competition. It was kind of motivating again. And that was the last time we worked with that vocalist because he immediately, I think the next day he got a job in Singapore or something, and he disappeared. I've never seen him since. I have not seen him since that first show. But this is his idea to form the band, Ajit Varghese. It is strange. Actually, we caught up recently. He lives and works in Singapore. And somewhere around the 25th anniversary of the band, our founder member, Sunil, who lives in London right now, actually got us on a call together and saying, man, this is the guy who formed your band. And, so that's how it started.
So while the band had just started, what were the other bands that you would usually compete with, and if they had any sort of influence or any stories that you share with them?
Of course. So I think one of the pivotal moments for the band's career was, I think, when we won the 1997, the competition at the National Law School, India University. At that point, the prize money in 97 was 25,000 rupees. So a substantial sum of money. I mean, you could record a demo or an album, buy some gear, all of that money. And there were lots of great bands that took part at that time. There was a band from Bangalore called Gangamma's Pleasure. Superb band, really great band. There was a band from Chennai called Moksha. There was another band from Bangalore called the MDs, and there were a few others. There was Aftermath. So there were about 6 bands that made it to the finals of that competition. And the funny thing was, all those 6 bands I think, had way more experience than we had. They've been playing for way longer than we had. I think they probably sounded better than us. But we were the only band that night that played only original music, and we had our whole set list was our own music, and we won that gig. And again, at that point, it's not just about the winning. It's just that thing about some validation that you find, saying that, oh, okay, what we're doing is making sense. And we used that money to record the demos and the songs that I was talking about, the 15 songs that we put together before the first album. So those were bands that we looked up to at that point because they sounded great. They had a sound, they had a vibe, they had attitude, and we were college kids, and it was great to see that. And the other band that and we were just talking about this yesterday as well. This is actually just a little bit before we, in fact, became Thermal and a Quarter. And there's a band called Chakravyuh that we played in Madras Christian College, a festival called Deep Woods in late 96 or early 96, so before the band actually formed. And we saw Chakravyuh headline that festival, and we just before they did that, actually, the Great Indian Rock Volume 2, I think, came out, RSJ's Great Indian Rock. And on that cassette was a song called Juice of Chrysanthemum, which was by Chakravyuh. And that, at that point, blew our minds because it is unlike anything we'd heard from an Indian band before. I mean, we'd heard Rock Machine, we'd heard Millennium, which is a Bangalore band. But that was, again, adventurous, different, just totally unlike anything else that we'd heard. And to watch the same band played live was, again, really eye-opening, saying, this is possible. This is possible from Indians living in India, writing this English, weird, challenging music. It's not, straight-ahead pop music. It's not crowd-pleasing immediately. It is challenging stuff, and it's exploratory, it's experimental, it's adventurous, right? It really inspired us. And Suraj Jagan, the singer, and we become friends with, Parikrama has the Parikrama and Friends thing, and when we do that once in a while, I keep hanging out with Suraj. And the first time I met him, actually, in House Cast Village, I'd say 10 years ago, we just happened to be at a gig, and I saw this guy, and I was like, "You're Suraj, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, hi, man, whatever." And I just want to tell him, "Man, you have no idea what an impact you guys had on us." And he was quite shocked at that point, saying, "Really? I didn't think anything like that was possible." And we've been friends since, and I chat with him every so often. And it's amazing how these things all add up to to launch you on some path. Yeah.
With the current band lineup for Thermal and a Quarter, which again has been there for a while.
Yeah.
If you could walk us through each member and your relationship with them.
Currently, well, the drummer is Rajiv, who's been the drummer from day one. So 27 years together. That's longer than both our marriages. So I mean, for Rajiv and myself, it's as he also keeps saying, it's just been gig to gig. It's one gig to the next, and one song to the next, one album to the next, and that's it. We've been working together for that long. It's quite, again, an outstanding partnership in so many levels. We run the Music Academy together as well. And gig to gig, song to song. It's just been that.
Any crazy memory or
Too many to list. I mean, 27 years. How long is this interview going to be? Tony has been with us from 2005, on and off. He was there on the first UK tour. Then he took some time off to focus on some other projects, and he joined us again in 2014-15 and been with the band since. Leslie joined us. Leslie's our third. There was Sunil Chandy, founder bass player. Rudy, who was with us from 2000 to 2010. And there was Prakash KN, 2010, 2012. And now Leslie from 2012 to now. So longest serving bass player right now, Leslie Charles. And I think with Tony, as he says, started off as being a fan of the band. He'd be at many gigs, and he was a great guy to work with, really fun to be around, and just an outstanding musician, in so many ways. So he's having him as part of the lineup is just, it's like an old shoe. It's comfortable. It's fun. It works, right? Leslie he's the youngest of us all, and in fact, the first time I met Leslie was in a music shop. I'd gone there to I think buy a guitar for a student, and I'm from inside the back room. I can hear someone playing bass, and they're playing a Jaco Pastorius tune. I'm like, who's that? And I walk in there, and there's this kid, sitting there with the bass and playing Portrait of Tracy. And I'm like, okay, hi man, nice to see somebody's playing this music. And we shook hands, and that was it. And then I think there was some band that was looking for a bass player, and I said, hey, try this guy. I saw this kid at a store. He's really good. And I think that was the first band he played with, and somehow he got into the music scene. And when Prakash decided to move on from the band, we gave him a call. And in fact, how he joined the band was really strange, because Prakash left and he joined, and I think we had a gig in 2 days, and it was one of those strange things where we had two gigs in the same day. We were playing a festival and then playing a pub gig. The festival was in the afternoon and the pub gig was in the night, something like that. So we had two gigs in the same day, and he had to learn 15 songs in like 4 days or something like that. And whatever it is, I mean, our music isn't like the simplest thing to learn. There's a lot of different parts and stuff like that. So we were honestly apprehensive, but this guy just came and nailed it. He was just like on the ball. So and again, never looked back after that. He's been with us, and the last few albums he's produced, the last few singles and everything else, because he's gotten very much into that. He's got a real sense for arrangement and production, and of course mixing and all that stuff. So yeah, that's the band lineup the way it is right now, and it's been going for a while.
Okay. So since you told us right at the beginning that you've played in a jazz outfit, you've played with a metal outfit, and also with a pop band scenario. If you had to pick one pop song from whenever in terms of time period, what is that one song that you'd love to play?
We do songs like, Wonderwall. We do songs like Roxanne. We do Hey Jude. We do a bunch of Beatles tunes, actually. And these are pop songs, right? And we kind of make them our own in a way. And we love playing them. We do a bunch of Dire Straits tunes. We do a couple of Floyd tunes. Um, we do some Nirvana tunes, And so, again, growing up in Bangalore, alternative and grunge music is something that, a lot of us in college thought that Bangalore was Seattle. I mean, the weather and the rain and all of that stuff. We'd walk around our flannels and mumble at each other. So I mean, it was fancy to do that. Tonight we're playing at the Piano Man here, and we're doing an Alice in Chains tune as well as part of the Unplugged set. So yeah, these songs are still very much very close to us and stuff that we still play.
So let's say we pick a Dire Straits melody, and if you had to pick n number of musicians and let them not be members of Thermal and a Quarter, what would your lineup look like?
Okay. I also don't know. Drummers. Let's see. Who would I pick for drums? So it has to be someone who's not Thermal and a Quarter, right? It has to be someone else.
Yes.
For a Dire Straits song, there was a drummer in Bangalore called DK. He's no longer with us. He was a really, really nice, really good drummer, and I think he would have done. I would like to play, a Dire Straits tune with him. On bass, from the Indian scene. There was a bass player in Chennai called Sean. Again, not very active right now, but maybe him on bass.
Was he also playing with some band that?
Yeah, he was playing a band called Molotov Cocktail in Chennai. Yeah, for a long time. He was a really good bass player. Nice chap, also funny fellow. And for keyboards, there was a keyboard player from Skinny Alley called Jeffrey Menezes. Yeah, maybe him. I'm just like pulling names out of my hat here, but yeah, these are guys I know, and it would be nice to do something with them. Yeah.
Okay, same question, but for a metal song, and which band or which song would that be?
Yeah, it would have to be probably Tornado Souls. And for that, the vocalist from Lucid Dreams, Mr. Vinish Venugopal. He's the man. He used to do that really, really well. And on drums, there's this drummer from a band called Inner Sanctum, and there's also Yadu Nagaraj, who's really a great drummer from Bangalore. Maybe him on the drums. Who would play bass? Metal bass players in the scene right now. I don't know. I'm not kind of clued into the metal scene at this point, so I don't know who's really active and doing stuff. But I think even someone like Hashbase from Bombay would do a great job with that. Yeah, and so yeah, guitar, voice, bass, drums, we're done.
And last, for the jazz set, what classic would you play?
What classic? Oh man, these are hard questions. I always have great difficulty saying, "Oh, tell me your top 5 jazz." They keep changing. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
this week it's that, next week it's something
I
else.
absolutely agree. So whichever song is coming to you right now.
What tune first? I'm thinking of some Pat Metheny tunes, which I can't really play, but I love very much. On piano, there's this amazing piano player called Aman Mahajan from Bangalore, who's very, very good. Yeah, I'd love to have him play on that. On drums, another great drummer from Bangalore called Prabhu, who's not really playing much anymore, but again, super, very, very nice feel. He'd be good to have on the drums. And on keyboards, an amazing jazz piano player from Calcutta. What's his name? Starts with the P.
Pradyuman.
Pradyumna.
Paddy.
Paddy, yes, yeah. Not really jammed with him, but seen him play with Skinny Alley and stuff. Yeah, maybe have him. And me to mess up all the guitar parts, yeah.
Dada, it's been a pleasure having you
Thank
over.
you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for having
so
me.
much.
Yeah, we're well within time, so.